To take in there. Lewis, can you hear us?
I can't. I'm going to go outside so I don't get anybody on a hot mic here.
Okay.
Yes, I can hear you. You have questions. This was an amazing event. I think this is groundbreaking. I believe this is one giant step for us.
Well, more than anything, I think what he brought up was really true. It's like this is step one. Step one is the exposure. So we're putting the content out there, putting the information out there. And this is only the first step. But people are like, oh, I want to see it end. I want to see it end. I see it in the chat room, but it doesn't end here. This is where it begins, right? This is the first step in this process.
Yes, this is a multifaceted, let's call it a play. And
Hmm.
this needs to roll out slowly on purpose. One reason why it needs to roll out slowly is for the protection of Sean Taylor himself.
Right.
He's under a lot of heat. The deep state cabal needs him dead. Let's just be as frank and forward as possible.
Right.
That's what they want. So this he needs to be very calculated on this. This is not about the people saying, "Oh, I want it all now. I want it all now. Take them all down." He's been working on this for 15 years, right?
Wow.
So the question is, do we want it all now, or do we want it done right? Do we want it done effectively? And I think effectively is what's most important. So there's many stages to roll out on this. I'm working with them with the whistleblower hotline that I probably will be running. We'll see what's happening at this time. More to come. There's a big whistleblower event that we're going to have on the Unity Tour. I am not going to mention the location as of yet,
Okay.
but this is the tip of the iceberg. And I'm so thankful for the whistleblowers and Chief Taylor and people like him, because these will be written in the history book as the true heroes, the ones willing to risk it all for humanity.
No question, and you're right about being patient in this. This is a long process, and these 15 years, I did not know he was working on it for that long. But and the corruption is so ingrained too. It's like he's talking about the mortgages, and they resell the mortgages and resell the mortgages in order to launder the money and double the money each time. And it's like, yeah, you've got a whole system that would have to be torn down, and I can't even imagine the magnitude of that.
It's absolutely incredible. We've got a lot of work to do, and wow, I can show you that there he goes. He's leaving. He's being ushered out right now. We're going to have on the Unity. There's massive security teams that will be taking care and protecting him. And I'm so thankful for it. I don't know what happened to your team, Robert.
You're doing okay here.
Um, so I think that about does it for me at the moment. Now I have a meeting in regards to this here, private meeting, and then I'm heading over to Des Moines, Iowa, to continue on the Unity tour, which
Tell us how that's
we're
going.
very
Fill us
proud of
in.
what we're doing. So the Unity tour is, I believe I'll be at the 27th stop. I'm not even quite sure. So I have to fly from Vegas over to Des Moines, Iowa. I'll get in there about midnight.
Okay.
And then bright and early, we'll be up at another event, and we'll have 20 some stops left. And it's absolutely incredible. We were to stop with one person, and then we were to stop with over 200. So we don't know what's going to show up. But I can tell you, I mentioned on somebody's show today, I kind of coined a new phrase: is I'm getting salty shoulders. What I mean by that is it seems like the last six stops, somebody, men and women alike, have been crying on my shoulder, thanking us for the work that we're doing. I
Wow.
am so freaking humbled by that. It's hard for me it's hard for me even to talk about that, because I really didn't think we were that important.
Well, the truth of the matter is I think a lot of people are feeling the frustration, they're feeling the stress, and as I mentioned to Bruce earlier today, it's like everyone seems to be waiting for the other shoe to drop, and it's been a long time now. It's been for most people, it's been 3 to 4 years now. And that's a long time to be having that background stress, like it's happening here in this house too, and it's this background stress. Oh, I'm not stressed, but the physical side is showing that you are, you know. So
That's right.
yeah.
It is. It's exhausting, but if if we're not going to fight for our kids, who is? So I just think it's an obligation. It's a duty.
Yeah,
Um,
no question.
Real quick, Robert, before I peel off, do me a favor. Make sure you grab a recording and send it to me, like to retransfer or something. A few people that were supposed to go live had problems getting it up there.
Okay.
So I'll forward that link before I hop on a plane. And unitytour.us, guys. If you can't get to some, get to one. Go to Tampa. It is an epic event. Robert will read you off the speakers. I just added about five more he doesn't even know about. Get to Tampa. It's all free. We're not charging for this, guys. Get there for free, and it's an epic event. And we'll see you in Tampa on October 5th. Robert, a lot of love to you, man. You've been in the background every day, working your ass off, taking care of things. So I appreciate you, and I think you have another interview right after me. But so just go to unitytour.us. Love and God bless everybody out there. We've got this. We've had this, but we need everybody's help.
Yep,
Become
absolutely.
part of the solution. God bless you.
Love you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Lewis. Appreciate you. All right, we have a couple more guys coming on here. Let me just set up the shot real quick. Look at that beautiful smiling face I see. Let's see. Whoa. Let me take off the Lewis Herms lower third here because you are not Lewis Herms. Here we go. And look at this. It is Joe and Scott from TruthStream. How are you guys?
Hey, pretty good.
Yeah,
What a press conference. Did you guys get a lot out of that, or wow?
Oh my, yeah. I mean, it's so
Yeah.
validating to everything that Scott and I and you and so many people in this movement have stood for. And to hear them talking about the real estate, and Scott and I had the absolute honor of interviewing JJ Carroll yesterday, and this falls right in line. And I sent him this press conference right as it started to happen, and I hope he's watching this. And JJ, if you are, I don't know what Robert has going on, and you want the link to this Zoom, you would be more than welcome, I would imagine, to jump right in here, because your work is absolutely incredible. And to be doing this on the front lines with JJ and Ryan Mata from This Is Treason, and what is thisistreason.com is the website. What is Treason is the film, and Robert and Bruce Poppy and Lewis. It's just I'm blown away. It's finally coming together, guys. I mean, to really see this start taking shape. Scott, anything you want to weigh in on that?
Yeah, well, I thought it was kind of interesting the way our viewership was going up and down like a yo-yo, always in a downward direction. But I think we had like 1,200 or so watching, and then we went down to like 360, and I mean then it would climb and then it would drop. It was very indicative of some kind of interference. And even the technical difficulties, on the broadcast, I think were kind of rather notable. That's a lot of information that a lot of powerful people don't want entering the public space. And so, I just see that as evidence of that.
Yeah,
Powerful
it really was.
stuff.
And that I'll give you a little bit of insight. Rumble is very much experiencing growing pains, so I don't rely too much on the numbers. Going up and down like that. Sometimes their servers are a little bit wonky. They're trying to be YouTube, and YouTube has a huge head start on them, so it's going to take a while for them to get to that point where they're really reliable in that respect. But yeah, it is interesting. People. I think, if I'm looking at the chat room, Scott, a lot of people were, I want this to be over. I want this to be over. And the truth is, I think, if we look at Donald Trump's first term, what did he leave us with more than anything is he pulled back the curtain. He allowed us to see the corruption that we had no idea as a community or as a society that was there. And now this is just another layer of this being pulled back, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, and it really makes you wonder how much of our lives have been, this false reality. I mean, we talk about that sort of thing all the time, but with regard to the interference, I don't think that's coming from a Rumble issue necessarily. I think that might be coming from an outside issue. We've seen that sort of thing before, and getting to know the Rumble folks, I can't imagine that they would participate in the disruption. I think
No,
it's definitely.
Chris Pavlovsky has said this many times that they're under attack constantly, and certainly some pick out certain channels like this Group Big Gov channel and your channel. The channels with the bigger followings will end up being attacked directly. I don't know how they're doing it. I don't know how they're getting in there, but apparently they are.
Yeah, well, and even Kevin Hoyt, on Grassroots Warrior Network, Lisa Schermerhorn, a dear friend of ours, was doing a live, I believe, at the time, and Kevin literally watched her numbers drop during the live, and that's what we witnessed today. Now it depends, our contact at Rumble, he was asking, were we watching it on the app, on the website? We're not sure. We're not sure where exactly where these numbers come from, and the specifics, and if they're in the differentiation between the platforms. But we let him know this immediately, so he could see this live time and go to work and look at what we're dealing with, because this is like Lewis said. We talked yesterday, Robert. We're never sure if a breaking press conference is really going to have the meat and potatoes that this one had. And I got to tell you, watching those three men up there with their confidence and the way they were talking about things and the people they were mentioning, it was glorious to see them standing like that, because it's time. I mean, this crap has to end. And when you have someone like JJ Carroll come on your show for 2 hours, and he like he said, he doesn't want to talk about this stuff. His wife and his kid are out at movies and just enjoying their Sunday afternoon, and he has to talk about the darkest things in human history that he's ever encountered. And Scott and I, none of us really want to talk about this, but what we do want is to talk about it so that there's this flood of light that comes in, so that we never have to talk about this in this way again, that everyone knows that this is real, that evil is real, and we can move on to the world, the earth, the planet, whatever anyone's perception is, that was intended by our creator, not this. This is really challenging to deal with, and it keeps going and going and going. And finally today was a big, beautiful flood of light for humanity. I really felt that from those three gentlemen speaking.
Let me ask you both a question about this. People, we talk about them being corrupt and they're involved in all these schemes, but do you believe that they really see themselves as corrupt, or they see themselves as just taking advantage of a system that's already there? Because look, everywhere they look, people are doing the exact same thing. They're not doing anything different than anybody else in their circle.
Scott, you go first.
Well, I think they have to think about it a little bit when they're spending the money. I mean, the corruption is massive. Years ago, Eddie Murphy did a movie where he ran on name recognition and was elected, to the Senate. I believe it was. It's been a long time since I saw the picture, but he was the whole movie was him just so shocked at how the whole thing was just a big, corrupt scam. And it was really rather revealing. I wish I remember the name of the movie, but maybe someone in the chat will remember. But I think it's been systemic. I think it's been this way for a long time. I think there's a reason why there's such a battle against term limits and whatnot. But
there's your answer right there, right?
Well, it's part of it. This is a bit of a monolith. They all work together. Mm-hmm. Look at Hollywood right now, and they're kind of freaking out and deleting their Twitter accounts like crazy right now, which is pretty satisfying
to see that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think this is we're at the precipice here of some pretty big reveals.
Yeah, and to follow that up, deep down, Scott got to meet my father while he was alive, and I watched my father go through many things, being a pharmacist, dealing with doctors and the healthcare system, and you name it. And all I've wanted in my life is to do something good for the betterment of humanity and make a difference and be who I authentically am. And we know deep down what's right and wrong. And if you can't take a stand for that, I've spent 30 plus years, and so has Scott, so have many people, trying to do what's right. And what Scott and I found, I think the best jobs that we've had has been being bartenders, because we've got to be entertaining, we've got to learn from people, we've got to communicate with people. There's some people that are coming in, and maybe there's a conversation that you have with someone at that bar amongst the other 8 conversations you're trying to have at the time. That's the beauty of the show. We can focus on one conversation at a time. You might just save their life because they're going through a really hard time, and you're the only ear for that person. So to answer your question, I think we all know what the right thing to do is, and that's how many of us in this movement have lived, especially as someone in music and arts and entertainment myself, and Scott has been a big part of that as well. I would never sell out, never for that crap. And I know that there's a better world coming. I was just raised with ethics and morals, and I haven't been perfect, but no, that's not an excuse. Yeah, you are the 5 people you surround yourself with, but it makes your blood boil.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
No
question.
It really does.
Yeah.
No kid, no child. I don't care if they're your own children, kids in another country. We've all been children. Every one of us needs to stand till this somehow is eradicated. And if that's the end of these people, whatever that takes, it's not us. We're not the judge and jury on this. And like one of the gentlemen was saying, it's up to the judge and jury. Yeah, as long as they're not corrupt. We need real judges and real juries, not paid off, bought for bullshit. We need people that are really going to stand for the betterment of humanity and the world that was intended for all of us. So that's what I have to say about it.
So many years ago, I had a fellow come into my office, and he was doing some illegal stuff, selling drugs and things on the internet. And he would come into my office almost weekly for almost 2 years, trying to get me to participate. And he put money on the table, he put prestige, he put fame, he put everything you could imagine. He put on the table, and I just kept saying no, because it's not my moral fabric. So I question some of these people when they can just walk away from that moral compass of theirs, and maybe the needle fell off the compass for them. I don't know, but certainly nothing was worth compromising that for me way back when. Now, I'm not better than other people. It's just, this is how I'm wired. And Joe, you and Scott seem to be wired the same way. But it just makes you wonder about these people who are in politics and law enforcement and, judiciary and judges and certainly lawyers. Oh, my God. We can have a whole conversation on lawyers. But it makes you wonder about them, doesn't it?
Well, I just can't imagine the experience, trying to enjoy wealth that I'd accumulated in such a dark way. I can't imagine the thrill of that will last for very long for anybody that still has any amount of humanity within. It's I could see ways that people are manipulated into it, but boy, imagine right now being so mired and so deep in it that and watching something like the press conference we just watched.
Yeah.
And knowing that your clock is ticking. I mean, wow.
Yeah. And Robert, on that note, I just want to say, and we touch on this, we don't need to go too deep down this rabbit hole, but if people watch our show, that they know we go very deep down certain rabbit holes. And I really don't think that some of those folks are even human anymore, whatever that means, whether they've been taken over, whether they've been demon possessed, whatever that means to somebody. And there's plenty of shows out there that go deeper into this, and we're gonna, that's another topic for another day. But there's got to be something that takes them over, because I don't think any of us can understand any kind of wealth or anything when it comes from even just children being harmed in any way. Nevertheless, the complete disgusting stuff that is covered in detail in the movie that J.J. Carroll and Ryan Mata just did. I got to recommend that to everybody, because it is the best documentary, I think, on any subject matter that I've ever seen.
So we're getting a question coming in on chat, and somebody's asking, what were the solutions offered during the press conference? And I only heard one. Did you guys hear anything?
Well, exposing the truth, I think, is the next step. I think this is just the
tip of the iceberg.
yeah, it's the shock of what they've experienced and what's happened, and you know, I think the solutions will follow. I hope, you know.
Well, Joe?
Well, I think the solutions are when, if people truly knew what was going on and what our leaders were doing,
Okay, we got the
there would
receipts.
there'd probably be like JJ Carroll talked about. There'd probably be 1,000 men standing up and eradicating those people, and just taking care of it. They wouldn't need to be acknowledged. It would just be like a black op. Blackwater, is that right, Scott?
Yeah, well,
Well,
mean,
I'm just saying, like a good version of that. If they would go in and take care of that. I don't know what was going on with children. And that's what needs to happen. This needs to be known to everybody, and so the right people can actually stand up. Because there's probably some amazing, veterans, former military, taking care of certain things like this if they knew that this was actually the level that it is, and they just don't know. And so this press conference, I feel, is a massive step in learning what is truly going on. We all have to know that so that this doesn't happen again. So we don't just hand over our power, and the people, so that the people in charge, they wouldn't be in charge anymore.
Yeah.
Well, there's an understandable reluctance for people to doubt this information. You know, what the truth about what's happening to kids, most of the people that I talk to, they say, Scott, that just doesn't sound like it could be possible. And indeed, they're right. I mean, it takes a while to uncover this stuff. But I think part of it is that knowledge is a call to action for people. It really is. And most people are so overburdened already that it's much easier to remain in denial. That's why I'm so thrilled to start seeing receipts. That's why I'm thrilled to see this unfold, because I think naturally that call to action is going to hit a lot more people, and we're going to hear that voice.
Yeah, we're streaming on multiple channels, so a lot of people are certainly getting this information. And my fear is that
is 45 through 47, and they've, whether it's for optics, whatever the reason is, then they've allowed this to continue for whatever the reason is. This is what I asked JJ yesterday. Then who is to blame for that, allowing this to get this bad? I don't know. And like I said, I don't know if it's just optics. According to JJ Carroll, it certainly doesn't look like that. So I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that the argument is the white hats are in charge, and then you would say, well, if that were true, why does this continue? So clearly, the conclusion you come to at that point is, well, they're not really in charge. They're chipping away, but they're not quite there yet. Because I think once they get quote unquote in charge, it ends. Most of it ends, right? Common sense.
Well, you do have the burden of if this doesn't impact humanity in a deep, meaningful way, we'll be right back where we started in 20 years.
Yep. No question.
This really, it demands a certain amount of vigilance, and we have to remember and never allow this kind of thing to happen again. It's going to change the way we structure government, the way we structure, everything. That's a big deal in a time when people are already overwhelmed, and part of the problem is, the way we get our information is so specific to our interests that we really do live in different realities now. And so this kind of bombshell information is probably not reaching Kamala Harris supporters, for instance, right. People that are exactly. So, maybe that's enough. Maybe it's really in the conversations that you have with individuals and how well armed you are with information, and how you conduct yourself during those conversations, so that you're sharing information, not alienating people. But it's really interesting, that phenomenon, how people have been kind of funneled into their own little personal reality on things.
It's easier to stay quiet. It's easy not to say anything. It's easy not to stand up. And Mark Fincham mentioned his solution was to, get into your local school boards and support your local good guys and get behind them. If you're not in the race yourself, go out there and support them, knock on doors, that kind of thing. That kind of grassroots approach to, making a difference. And Lewis has always been talking about this, the micro fixes the macro. When you start doing that at that level, you start chipping out, the underpinnings of all the bad guys who are higher up, because we don't really have power effect years ago, guys. What have we been able to do to dislodge him and get him out of that position? Pretty much nothing. Everything's been shut down. But we could knock down the underpinnings at the local level,
taking care of that problem. But we don't. It doesn't really. It just goes to illustrate that these folks are very much puppets. What they're sharing, their personal stories, as inane and ridiculous as they come across, are absolutely irrelevant. When was the last time you felt that government was representative? When was the last time that you felt that that your will, as a voter, as a taxpayer, whatever it might be, is somehow reflected in your experience with government? Probably not. It's probably been a while.
Yeah, probably under Reagan, maybe.
Perhaps.
Maybe go back that far. I mean, yeah, that's probably the last time I could think of, and in my lifetime anyway.
The people have abandoned those expectations because it's such an unfamiliar, experience. This whole idea that your will is going to somehow be carried out by these representatives. I mean, what a silly thing to say in today's parlance, and it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be silly at all. That should be what we're seeing.
Very good. All right. I want to keep you guys forever because we could go on, and we probably should do a show together because we have a lot to talk about, no question. We've got another stream coming up in about 2 hours from now. The Unity Tour continues today, and you guys were so cool to be there in Yakima, Washington. I hope I pronounced that right.
Yep.
Okay. So it was great to see you guys in person there. Of course, I wasn't there, but I'm back here in the studio. But it's so good that you got to participate. And it continues. There's 24 stops left, I think, 23 stops left. And they'll be heading down the East Coast. And then the big finale comes in Tampa, Florida. You guys are going to be in Tampa, right?
We are.
Okay, awesome. Yep. I'll be back here in the studio managing the live stream this time around. But okay. It's going to be a great event, and you can find out more. ScrewBigGov.com. Click on the Unity Tour button at the top of the page, and all the information is there. And Lewis said there's more speakers being added today, so he said it's going to be a surprise even for me. I love it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Right on. Well, we appreciate what you do, Robert, and what you do behind the scenes. And thank you so much. You're part of the glue that holds this whole thing together.
Well, we all are. And I never look at myself and give myself those pats on the back, but thank you for that. I appreciate it. And, all of us together make this happen. And God, you and I have been doing streams now. It's been almost 3 years that we've been working together.
At least two. Yeah, at least two.
I remember when I had the studio, you were one of the first people we had on for when we started to get into the truther movement and all the rest of it. So thank you guys. Yep. Appreciate both of you. Love you both. And we will do something again real soon. Thanks.